Welcome to another video tutorial from 2dgameartguru.com. Today I'm working in Affinity Designer to show you how to manually trace a photo using the pen tool, the node tool, and tapered strokes using the pressure curve. Let's start with a good photo. Preferably it has clear shapes, enough contrast, and not too much detail. I place the photo in a separate layer, add a black and white adjustment layer for increased contrast, and lower the opacity to 20%. This way I see enough of the photos while the lines I'm going to add stand out nicely. You can hand draw the lines with the pencil tool and the graphic tablet. For this video I chose the mouse and the pen tool. You don't even have to be a master of the Bezier curve. You can work with straight lines, placing one node at a time in positions where the lines will curve. Once the line is finished, go in with the node tool, refine, curve, and adjust. You can select multiple nodes, set them to smooth, and speed up the process. The advantage of the pen tool versus the pencil tool lies in the lower number of nodes. The nodes are exactly where you need them to define the line, making it faster to edit. Try to avoid straight lines and pointy corners when drawing organic, or in this case, facial features. Don't worry too much about matching the photo precisely. It's more important that your curves look good and flow smoothly. In an earlier test, I adjusted the pressure curve. Let me reset that while saving the profile for later. Features like the eyebrows, the eye and the eyelashes, or the hair can be done with a lot of lines. I try to use as few lines as possible. It's easier to add more lines later than trying to reduce once you have put on too many. The eyelashes would be a prime example. If I add multiple copies, zoom out, I can see that it's just a very dark area now. To define the eye and show that it has eyelashes, I really just need the one line. The same applies to the hair. Define the basic shape with the pen tool, a few lines for the side and the top and back of the hair, and then duplicates to give the idea of texture. By leaving gaps and creating overlaps, you show that the hair is not a solid shape. Rather than outlining the whole head of the girl, I am separating it the same way, using one line for the facial features and separate lines for the hair and the back of the head. By default, I have the clipping turned on. I turn it off and adjust the contrast a little bit to see the facial features of the girl a bit better. The hard part with this kind of design is the balance between too much and not enough detail. You want to add enough lines to define the features and make it readable, yet not too many to lose the lightness. The best advice is to start with as few lines as possible. Create the outlines and the basic shapes. Add more if you think it needs more, and avoid getting stuck in one area, adding more and more lines to define delicate shapes. Save the design when the basic shapes are in place and create multiple files as you go, so it's easy to compare and fall back on an earlier version. For this design, I would like to have all my shapes in the same stroke width. I had the scale width object turned on. I'll turn it off, copy the ear shape again, scale it down and modify it. That way the lines keep a consistent width. Zoom out to see the whole design. Get an idea where you have too much or too little detail, what needs to be added and what can probably be deleted. Leave gaps in the lines for the hairs to avoid it appearing like a solid shape. Add minor variations to duplicated lines for a more natural look. As you can see, I work a lot with duplication rather than creating new lines. It allows me to stay with the node tool by using shortcut keys and just one tool to move the nodes and curve the lines. I can lay down the necessary lines rather quickly. Keep checking the overall design so you don't get lost in detail. To get an even better idea of your design, reduce the photo layer's opacity or hide it completely to see just the line art. The main features of both faces are in place. I don't think they need a lot more detail. It's time to work on the arms and the shoulders. One thing to keep in mind when working with the pen tool is the continuous line. When you don't close a shape, it will continue the line where you left off last. So in this case, it connects the line from the last shape to this one, and I get a long connecting line. When you press escape, in this case I undo and then press escape, the pen tool will start a new line. The look of the mouse pointer will change. Instead of a plus at the lower right of the pen icon, there is a star showing you that you're starting a new line rather than continuing an old one. In order not to bore you to death, I speed up the video. As the process remains the same, I either use the pen tool or duplicate existing lines to recreate the key lines in the photo. You could probably add more lines, but the design reads well, is clear, and I have a manageable amount of lines. Seeing they're all strokes with a stroke color. I can change them. I can turn them to white on a colored background and set the strokes pressure curve back to tapered. Adjust some of the lines to taper just at one end and fine-tune the image. Seeing I've reached the 10-minute mark, I will leave the design at this stage. Seeing you have a pretty simple setup with easy to edit lines, play around with different strokes thicknesses, different pressure curves, adjust the line widths, play around with background colors, and apply the illustration to different designs. For this video, I used a photo to trace, the pen tool, the node tool, and tapered strokes to create a simplified line art illustration. When working on the iPad or with a graphic tablet, the pencil tool might be the better option for a more fluid workflow, but it is very doable with the mouse. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something new. If you did, please subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and I will see you again soon.